Bonjour. So we are starting a new unit, and the unit is about it. The name of the unit is Racontez-nous, which is tell us. And in this unit, you will be learning different fairy tales in French, and you will be learning how to write and how to understand a fairy tale in French. So these are the objectives. So first one is you will learn how to exchange information about fairy tales and stories in the French culture. You will also learn how to interpret different authentic text, videos, and you learn the importance of stories and fairy tales in the Francophone culture, especially the African culture. And then you will also present, write, and read short stories in French. And at the end, you will examine and share Francophone stories that you learned, and then you will compare them to stories in your own culture. Le conte de fées, which le conte de fées means fairy tale, and we are going to learn about the characteristic of a fairy tale in French, and then we will learn about the English too. Just we're gonna compare the two. So fairy tales in general, same as in English. So you will have to have a magical element, which is most of the times it will include magic, enchantments, and mythical beings like fairies, witches, dragons. And you will have to have, same as again in French, you will have to have a problem and the solution. And then you have specific phrases that we use, and I will show you the French ones that we use. And then the characters in the story is same thing as the English ones. So basically, French fairy tales are similar to the English ones. The only difference is that when it comes to the culture and the value in that culture, it might be a little bit different because, as I said, we are going to learn about some African fairy tales, and you will see what I'm talking about. So these are some of the words that you will need to be able to understand fairy tale in French and to be able to write fairy tale. So first one, like for example, if you want to say les personnages, which is the characters in the story. So a hunter is le chasseur. And then you might find in the story le roi or la reine, which is the king, the queen. So first one, le chasseur, chasseur. Second one, le roi, la reine. And then le dragon. And le sorcier, la sorcière. Le magicien, la magicienne, warlock, and witch. Le prince, la princesse, prince and princess. And vieille femme, vieil homme. So the H is silent for homme. So vieille femme, vieil homme means old woman and an old man. Then, when it comes to the imaginary world, which is the place where the story is happening, so you might find places like une forêt magique, a magical forest, un palais or un château, a castle, un village, un pays, une ville lointain or lointaine. So most of the time they will say un village lointain, which is a faraway village or faraway country or a city. You will never find the specific name of that country. Like you're not gonna find, you're not gonna see say a story that says in France or in Europe. Most of the time, it is an imaginary place. So most of the time, you will not have a specific location. Un royaume lointain, a faraway kingdom. And so, as I said, we're talking in general. We're using which is the indefinite article, because we do not know where is that place. We do not know the specific name of that place. It's just a random kingdom, a faraway kingdom. And then sometimes you will find a place like une petite maison, which is a little house. We do not know again where is the house, and like the city or the country where that house is located. And there are some sentences or set of phrases that we use in English, and you will see the French ones that we use to start or finish fairy tale. For example, the beginning, when you say once upon a time, in French we say il était une fois. So I do connect the T with the U sound. Il était une fois, it means once upon a time. And then once upon a time, and then that's when in the beginning it's like the happy beginning, and then when you want to say suddenly something happens, which is the problem. And for suddenly in French we say soudain, soudain. The next day or the day after, le lendemain, le lendemain, or you can say un jour après, un jour après. And then if you want to say a couple days later, 2 or 3 days later, quelques jours plus tard, quelques jours plus tard, 2 or 3 days later, 2 ou 3 jours après, 2 ou 3 jours après. Yesterday, the day before, hier, hier, or la veille. La veille means yesterday or the day before, and le jour d'avant, le jour d'avant. And if you want to say this day, ce jour-là, ce jour-là. And this is like the setup that you will have to follow no matter what when it comes to writing a fairy tale in French. Even when you're reading it, you will see that we always follow the same order. So first one is gonna be la situation initiale. Situation initiale, basically it's like the beginning of the fairy tale. This is when which is can be like the first paragraph or first couple sentences. This is where you describe or you talk about the normal life that the heroes in your fairy tale like they're living a normal life, a happy life. So nothing was interrupting their life. So everything is good. And that's what we call la situation initiale. And then the next one, which is after you talk about the normal life or you describe the normal life, and in this paragraph you can describe the characters, like it was like a young girl living with her grandmother in a small house in the forest. So this is basically you're describing their life. And then next one is going to be l'événement perturbateur. L'événement perturbateur, basically that's the problem, and this is what's gonna set the story after. So basically it is whatever is going to perturbate or to disrupt the normal life. So that's what we call l'élément or l'événement perturbateur. So basically it will start with suddenly something's going to happen. Suddenly a lion will show up in the forest, and the lion is very hungry or something like that. So that's going to be the problem or l'événement perturbateur. The third one is going to be les conséquences du changement, which is after that's going to be the struggles that the hero will face to solve the problem. So maybe other characters in the story will help him or her, or maybe he will just find a solution, or he will do something to solve the problem. Those are the events that will come after the problem. And then the fourth one is la résolution du problème, which is the problem is solved. So basically is that like somebody is going to show up and help, for example, that girl, and will kill the lion, for example. So the problem is solved. And then the last one, which is the end of the story, is that it's going to be always happy. And then, yeah, that's it. So I'm going to show you some of the sentences that you can, or words that you can use to start your paragraph, or even to connect sentences. So to start a paragraph, you start by saying d'abord, ensuite, enfin. D'abord means at first, then we have ensuite means then, and then enfin means finally. Ce jour-là, on that day, and then you can use this one to start talking about the problem. Ce jour-là, that day, on that day, she was walking, and then somebody tried to steal her money or whatever. I'm just like giving you examples, but I hope you see what I mean by that. So, and if you don't want to use the ce jour-là, you can use soudain. And again, these two words, or even the next one, you will see that three of them, tout à coup, which is suddenly, three of them, you can use one of them to start talking about the problem. Un soir, une nuit, on an evening or a night. So even this one, you might use it if you want to start talking about the problem. Le lendemain, the next day. Pour finir, to finish. Finalement, finally. Heureusement, fortunately. Tard dans la nuit, late at night. or à partir de ce jour-là, starting that day. And this one, the last one, you can use it to talk about the lesson learned from the story. And if you want to start, or if you need some connectors to start your sentences, you can use ce matin-là, on that morning, hélas, so the H is silent, hélas, or malheureusement, it means sadly, chaque fois que, whenever, alors means then, après means after, c'est pourquoi, this is why, c'est ainsi que, so I do connect the T to the un sound because of the AI. C'est ainsi que, this is how, depuis ce jour, since that day, quand, when, donc, therefore, pendant ce temps, meanwhile, pendant ce temps, the T silent, PS silent, pendant ce temps, meanwhile, néanmoins, however, d'ailleurs, moreover. So yeah, that's it. Allez, merci, au revoir.